Good evening. Welcome to the latest live edition of Last Ball Boxing. Joined by who are quickly becoming regulars, Akan. Good evening, Akan.
Good evening, Carl.
And Darren. Darren, good evening.
Good evening, Carl.
Yeah, we won't talk about the Villa last night. We'll stick to boxing. And last but in no way least, Daz. Good evening, Daz.
Hey, mate, you all right?
All good. So let's jump on to the first topic straight in. So, obviously, John Ryder went out and to try and be the best he could against James Munguia. Didn't quite go the way he wanted it to. But Akan, I'll come to you first. Give us your thoughts on the fight. And lastly, where do you think Ryder goes from here?
I wasn't that well during the weekend, so I have just watched parts of the fight. But what I read a lot of the fight, and that John Ryder did very well. But and Munguia was very impressive. What I've heard.
Yep. So
in the fight.
So obviously Munguia went on to win the fight. So what do you think John Ryder should do from here?
I'm unsure about his future. Maybe he should thought about retirement. I don't know.
Right, interesting. Thank you, Akan. So, Darren, coming to you next, fella. So, same question for you. Give us your breakdown of the fight and then what you think Ryder should do next.
I thought it was a decent fight to watch. I was very, very impressed with Munguia, the way it was competitive enough, but overall he took Ryder apart. And I was, for one, I don't know, it might have been last week's show, I was saying I thought Munguia would nick it on a close points decision, but he totally ripped that script up, and I thought he was excellent. I think a big credit has to go to John Ryder as well. He could have. I believe he got dropped 4 times. He'd have got up 10 times, John Ryder, and still kept coming. So I think you've got to give massive respect to him as well for the way he kept going. But Munguia, brilliant performance. He was very clinical. Looked quick, excellent with his shot variation. Decent enough fight. I'm glad I watched it. And Ryder now, is it the end of the road? Maybe so, but it depends whether someone can come in and offer him a decent enough fight and payday, maybe, and he'll stick at it. But what he's got left to offer at that level, he's been in a tough Canelo fight. He's been in a very tough Munguia fight. He's had a good fight with Callum Smith. What really has he got left to offer? Really now.
And who's left in the division? Unfortunately, is in a poor era of super middleweight, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But he's been, like I said, hats off to him. He's been great over the years. He's given some really good fights, and he takes a shot very well. He does.
I'm of the opinion, I will come to you in a minute, Daz. I'm of the opinion he's a blown up middleweight anyway, Darren, is my honest opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you on that. But he's at the weight he's at now, and like you say, it's a very tough division about where he's at. But if he calls it a day, fair play to him. He's had a great career, and I thought he went out on his shield very, very well.
Yeah. Dad's coming to you. Good evening. Give us your breakdown of the fight, fella.
He just pretty much got broken down gradually for me. I think as for where he goes now, it's what does he want to do? Who is there to fight? Does he want to fight any British rivals? I don't see why he'd want to do that. He's taking a lot of punishment. I just wouldn't like to see him become a gatekeeper for the world stage, if I'm honest. He seems like too nice a guy for that.
Daz, from a coaching perspective, Daz,
yeah.
did it look like Father Time had caught up with him?
It's always a bit worrying when, I mean, listen, Munguia has got, obviously got some power, but it's always a bit worrying when a fighter who's tough, and he stood up to Canelo's, then looks troubled by every clean shot that lands. Listen, it could be something as simple as, Munguia maybe threw shots from different angles to what Canelo did. It could be fact that Ryder maybe didn't see punches coming. He probably maybe expected Canelo to go to body then head. Who knows? But he was troubled every time he got caught clean. It seemed to me, and that's a bit worrying.
Yeah,
that's a little bit. I think it might be, a case of do they protect him from himself? But if they do that, he'd soon find another trainer that would take him on. That's how boxing works. But also, who is there to fight? Who is left to fight for him?
Yeah, I mean, Darren, just coming back to you for a sec, was it a bit worrying how quick Munguia come out and put him on his backside 2 or 3 times? The fight had gone, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was one that weren't expecting that. I wasn't so sure John Ryder would even get dropped in the fight. I thought he'd probably go to the scorecard very tight. But yeah, it's sort of like from the first couple of rounds, you could see the way the stall had been set out. And, 3 or 4 rounds in, I thought Ryder ain't got no chance here. But yeah, like Daz has just said, when you see him getting dropped the way he was getting dropped, it is worrying. Like every time Munguia seemed to land half decent, he was getting hurt and troubled by the shots. And I do agree that's worrying signs, really.
Yeah. And Akan, is there anyone that you'd like to see John Ryder jump in with before he hangs his gloves up? Anyone that springs to mind?
I'm not sure that he has 2 big fights now with Munguia and Canelo. It's on the table in the super middleweight for him right now? I'm not sure. Like Darren said about what fights could be on now for Ryder.
Yeah, and you'd expect, wouldn't you, that he's earned a few quid in them big fights that he's had. So, I think he can retire without hopefully can retire without having to worry about any financial pressures.
I agree, and I remember when I saw him at the U2 2015 when he lost to Nick Blackwell, and I couldn't imagine that he could have had this career when I saw that fight.
Yeah. So, moving on then, guys, to the next topic. I think this is a great fight. I know, Akan, you're going to make your way to London to watch this at the weekend. So, we've got Joshua Buatsi versus Dan Azeez. So, I'm going to come to you, Darren, first to give us your breakdown and give us your predictions of who's going to win this fight. Very close fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you on that. For me, as a massive boxing fan, I'm really, really excited and looking forward to this fight. As a casual fan, I don't think Joshua Buatsi comes across as the most exciting. And I think if the fight is exciting, I think it will all probably come from Dan Azeez's style to bring the excitement to the fight. I feel that I feel that Joshua Buatsi will get the victory, possibly narrowly, and I'd go for points. I do feel Joshua Buatsi is the fighter that is happy to not engage too much, coast through a fight. I don't think he's going to want to engage too much with Dan Azeez, whereas Dan Azeez obviously will bring the fire and he'll be the one that will be coming forward, and I think he will make the fight more explosive. But I think if Joshua Buatsi can keep him on a jab, keeps his boxing skills, I think he'll look to outpoint Dan Azeez. So I'd probably go. I don't think I'd go. Probably split this majority decision, split decision, something like that to Joshua Buatsi.
Okay. Coming to Daz next. So Daz, just before you give us your breakdown prediction, I just want to get a bit of insight from a trainer perspective.
Why do you know trainer?
Yeah. That's my line, isn't it? That's my line.
Yeah, I got there before you, didn't I?
So if you're in the corner, let's go Dan Azeez first. If you're in the corner with Dan Azeez, how are you setting the game plan out to beat Buatsi?
Pressure.
Sitting on his chest.
Yeah, just pressure, but get there, get into range safe. You know, pressure him, parry, try maybe parry shots, tight guard, head movement. But when you're moving your head, slip in, make sure you're inching your feet forward. I think feet there first is a major thing he needs to do, because if he's reaching, overreaching, he's going to get punished, I think. So I think get your feet there. Listen, it might be a case if I were training Azeez, I'd be saying to him, just put him under a lot of pressure in first 4 or 5. You know, listen, you maybe have to give up the first 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But just make him work at a pace he's not used to and he doesn't like.
And then same again
for everywhere, mate. It's him everywhere as well.
Yeah.
You
same
know,
again for Buatsi. What would you be telling Buatsi?
Basically what Darren said, mate. Use your skills, keep him at distance, on end at jab. If you feel he's close, tie him up. That's all you can do, really. I think if he tries to fight Azeez on inside, he's gonna. I'm not saying he's gonna come unstuck, but it's gonna make it a closer fight.
Make it a hard night.
Yeah, it's gonna make it an hard night. He's got to use, you know, like I said, I say it a million times. Boxing's not rocket science. You know, base what you're gonna do around your strengths. His skills are his strengths, and that's what he's got to do. Whereas, obviously, we know Azeez, his strengths, his pressure, his strength, he can punch. So, he's probably a tough kid as well. I don't think we've really seen Azeez cracked on chin, to be fair, properly. Yeah. So, if he's got a decent chin, he's an handful. So,
and then coming on to your prediction, then, fella, how do you see it working out?
It's an hard one, mate. It's an hard fight. It's a close fight, isn't it? If I were forced to get off at fence, I'm gonna have to go with skills, and I'm gonna have to say that Buatsi wins on points, I think.
Okay, and then better late than never is Andy. I wasn't gonna let you in the studio, Andy, to be honest, but so you just coming on the tail end of them giving the predictions on Buatsi and Azeez, so we may as well take your breakdown and your prediction.
I'm torn on this. I've been back and forward all week, mate. These two know each other inside out. I've been a bit disappointed with Buatsi over the last couple of years, because he was the golden boy at one stage for Matchroom. He was like the second coming, and it hasn't panned out that way.
Boxer done an awful job. That's why.
Yeah, but he didn't. What were Matchroom doing with him, Carl?
Because you don't sell tickets. Eddie Hearn's been proved right, hasn't he, really?
Well, maybe so, but there's lots of other fighters over the years that haven't been massive ticket sellers, and he's backed them with the skill set they've had.
This is the first decent fight with Boxer, hasn't it? The opponents before have been absolutely dreadful.
Yeah. I agree with that. And that obviously part of that's down to Buatsi as well as his promoter, though, mate. He's got to accept the fights when they come along, and he had a shot at a world title fight and he turned it down.
Yeah.
So it's not all the promoter. Anyway, back to the two fighters. For me, it's down to a couple of things. You've got the pressure and power from Dan Azeez, and then you've got the precision and passion skill set from Buatsi. Real tough, this, mate. My brain tells me Buatsi outpoints Dan Azeez just through skill. It's all down to whether he can handle the pressure, because Dan Azeez will put it on him all night long. They've both got power. You know, I mean, Buatsi is obviously more accurate, and it's a case of whether Dan Azeez can get inside to get his work off without Buatsi tagging him clean.
There's a lot on the line, isn't there? A lot on the line because it's a WBA title eliminator, isn't it?
There is a lot on the line, but in my opinion, more pressure's on Buatsi than it is Dan Azeez. Everyone's expecting Buatsi to win this fight. There's a lot on the. It's not just about that though, Carl. There's a lot on the line just because of their locality to each other.
Yeah.
You know, they live in like the next borough to each other. They're 10 miles apart. You know, there's a lot of bragging rights. I'm going to book the trend. I'm going to say that I think Dan Aziz's pressure is going to be too much for Buatsi. I think it goes to points, but I think Dan Azeez puts Buatsi under too much pressure, and Buatsi won't keep his form for 12 rounds. I think Dan Azeez will bully him a little bit.
Okay, Akan, last but not least, give me your views.
I agree with Darren and Daz. I think that Buatsi could win on points, but I hope it's not a boring points decision. And I will cheering for Dan Azeez in this fight. I think Dan Azeez is more exciting to watch, and I hope that Dan Azeez could win the fight. That's what I'm hoping for, and I think Dan Azeez could bring the fight excitement for the fight. So that's what I'm hoping for. But my prediction is that maybe Buatsi win on a fairly boring decision.
Yeah, I think Buatsi is going to stop him round 11. I think he'll have a little bit too much for Azeez down the straight. Azeez going to have to work damn hard all fight. And it's whether he's got the tank to do it over 12 against probably the best fighter he's been in with. So we'll learn a lot about Dan Azeez in this fight, is my honest opinion. Just touch on the rest of it. It's not about. I've not got the entire card written down, but it's not a bad card.
I've got it, Carl. If you want me to go through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad card. If you want to touch on some of the other fights like Whittaker and Hennessy and that, and
so obviously Adam Azim, he's in with Enoch Paulson. The interesting thing about this fight, Carl, is that obviously Dan Azeez is the EBU super lightweight champion. Enoch Paulson was the previous champion and never lost the belt in the ring. He had it took off him. Not sure what the reason was. Maybe he got injured or he wasn't in a condition to defend. But he got stripped without losing the title. So there's a bit on the line here. Not as straightforward as you might think. I don't think this fight. I mean, don't get me wrong. Dan Azim is quality. He's got quality written all over him, but he's still learning. Still makes mistakes. Very powerful though. Don't know a lot about Paulson, if I'm honest, but you don't become a European champion if you're not a good fighter. So I expect this is the toughest test for Dan Azim, in my opinion. I expect him to come through it though, but it won't be an easy night's work.
I'll just pick a comment up in the side. So Jack Gladman thinks that Buatsi stops Azeez in 6 rounds. And Boxing TV, good evening, Boxing TV. He said, I brought the American champion over to spar Azeez about 18 months ago. Love Dan, lovely lad. The difference will be in the intricacies and the clever work. God, don't put big words like that, Boxing TV, on a Thursday night. Jesus. Jack Gladman says, as Azeez lost weight, getting to super light. Boxing TV said, Buatsi wins on points for me. And Jack's bought, yeah. So yeah. So any others on the undercard, Andy, that you want to touch on?
I can. I have been to a couple of fights with Enoch Poulsen in Denmark.
How good is that?
And I was at the Enoch Poulsen Frank Petitjean fight in 2022 in Denmark, and I felt that I was the only one, except from the French, that felt that it was a bad decision that Enoch Poulsen won the fight. And I had a chat with Frank Petitjean after the fight, and their team was furious about the decision, and the ABU the ABU ordered immediate rematch, but the rematch didn't materialize for some reason. So even ABU had a stance that the scorecard wasn't fair in that fight. And then I don't know why he was stripped of the title, but so I think that Enoch Poulsen is not near the level of Adam Azeem. So I will go Adam Azeem KO inside 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
So Jack,
as for why he was stripped, I think was he not supposed to fight Petitjean again, and he didn't do it within the required time. So I think that was why he was stripped.
Jack, let's just talk about your Azeez prediction, because I think you're just being controversial for the sake of being controversial. So I'll let you say on camera what your prediction is.
Hang on. Did I put that the wrong way around? I'm starting to... No, I don't think I'm being that controversial. It's just because Azeez to me, and it's come across on Fight Week, looks like he's already acting like he's world champion.
See, I don't pick that up. I generally don't pick that up from him.
I might be. It's just his body language. I like Dan Azeez, to be honest. Normally, there's something not right about him.
It could be pressure, Jack, because it is genuinely his biggest fight, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it could be that, but that still does. If that's the case, then that doesn't fill me with confidence either. And I like Dan. I've been really impressed he's got to that level. But that's my thing. And also to reference the comment I made in the chat, it's because when Andy was speaking, he accidentally said Azeez instead of Azeem, and so that's why I was saying about Azeez lost weight.
All right, okay.
Right, that was what I was basically picking you up on it, but no.
Jack, that's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks in a row now. You've done this to me. Is there a problem, boy?
Yeah, well, someone has to keep you right.
So, just a comment up in the side. Boxing TV says he loves the Danish fans. Their boxing infrastructure is minimal, but they have some diehard fans. Spoke with Forsland and her team recently, and it's great to see some waves being made from Denmark.
Very good.
Forsland as a side.
Very good fighter, Dina Torsland.
Sorry, Daz, go on.
Very good fighter, Dina Torsland is.
I really rate her, to be fair.
Yeah, she's a good fighter.
So,
Daz, as you're just speaking there, what's your take on Adam Azeez?
Yeah, I like him, to be honest. I think he's quality. Still a bit of a work in progress, to be fair, which is quite.
Yeah, I do think a lot of pressure's being put on him, Daz, in terms of the next coming, isn't it? A lot of pressure on him. He's carrying that broadcaster almost.
Yeah, he is. He's still a bit of a work in progress, but to me, that's quite scary for the rest of the division if he's still a work in progress and he's European champion. It's like, he's a good fighter, very good fighter. Listen, there's a lot of opinion that at one point, obviously, it was spoke him v Dalton Smith, and a lot of people were obviously picking Dalton Smith at that stage, but then there's like a lot of people I speak to now are like saying that, win a couple, 2 or 3 fights, they'd sort of fancy Azeez to win.
Can we just point out as well, obviously the British champion's obviously British, but like you got the European champion, British champion, and Commonwealth champion are all British.
Yeah.
At that weight.
Yeah. But
I mean,
to me,
that to me shows there's strength in depth there.
Yeah, but two of them, to me, two of them stand above the other. To be fair.
Yeah, I agree, Daz. And what you got to think about it. What you got to think about also is Dalton Smith's not hanging around, is he? He's
no. I mean, Dalton's. Let's be honest, he wouldn't have taken this fight if he was staying at British level, would he? It'd be madness.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, so he's gone really, but I just make the reference because I just think. But I don't actually agree that the two of them stand above the other. I actually think the third one just hasn't been in the public eye as much.
No, I don't.
And bear in mind, look what he did a better job on Lee Appleyard than anyone's ever done on Lee Appleyard.
I think Dalton Smith stands above the other two. I'll put him in the league zone.
Yeah, maybe actually, just on the grounds that he's the little bit further on in the development. I'll give you. Dalton probably is because he's probably on that bit where he's stepping up the levels, Carl. But is he? It depends on ceiling. On ceiling, I'm not sure. I'm sure people. I think all three of them have potential to end up at world level, and I genuinely believe that. And someone can clip that and put it, come back to it in 5 years, and when all three of them have fought for a world title,
I'm not that good at editing, Jack. Calm yourself down. I'm not that good at
editing. I can't see. Listen, I'm not saying that Harlem Eubank's not going to get.
Oh no, Eubank's not Commonwealth champion.
Who's Commonwealth champion?
Jack Rafferty, who's literally gone and destroyed Lee Appleyard.
Yeah, I mean, by the
he did it quicker than Eubank.
Yeah, but by the 3, I think it's general consensus.
He's probably been in with the weakest opponents of the 3.
Yeah, but by the 3, Jack, people everyone.
Eubank. I mean, Smith, I don't think Eubank. I don't think Eubank's even in that conversation, to be honest.
Well, no disrespect to Jack Rafferty, but
I think Rafferty's destroyed Appleyard quicker than Eubank has.
I don't think Azeez belongs in the same conversation at the minute as Dalton.
No,
Dalton's going to that level, isn't he?
Yeah, Dalton's in front, but I think Azeem's the only thing that's lacking with Azeez is his experience. So it's definitely a fight that's going to happen at some point.
From what I understand, lads. From what I understand, Harlem Eubank isn't fighting at super lightweight anymore.
No, he's going to welter, isn't he?
Yeah.
From what I've been told as well.
He'll
get chewed up in that weight, I'll be honest.
Well, he's on the hunt for the Conor Benn fight, isn't he?
Yeah. He is chasing the Conor Benn fight, but I mean, he did say at the end of that last fight that he's struggling to make super lightweight now. Mm-hmm. Whether he's saying that because he wants to move to welter just for that Conor Benn fight, I don't know. And also, I don't know whether you heard TalkSport today, but Eubank Senior was on calling that fight, calling it out because he was basically, he was brought on because obviously with Conor Benn fighting this weekend, the old Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. thing got brought up, and he shut that down by basically saying that Junior is way too big to make even middleweight these days, which I kind of agree with in a way. I think he struggles.
I think he struggles to make middleweight. I think he'll make it.
Senior's basically saying that it should be Harlem getting the shot against Ben and not Junior.
Oh my God, I agree with Chris Eubank.
I'm just going to put this comment up at the side. Boxing TV said, I don't know if this is your plan of conversation, lads, but Hamza Sharif versus Liam Williams. So, seeing as he requested it, we may have a quick chat about it. So I'll come to you first, Darren.
I expect Liam Williams to make it competitive, but I'd expect Hamza Shiraz to win. And I said this to someone already in the week. Liam Williams was actually spoke about, if I don't win this fight, then I could be done. And I think when you hear fighters talking like that, it's not a great sign at all. I think he's took the fight. He's going to get a decent enough pay out of it, and a fair play to him. But I do think if he loses this fight, I think he will be done. And I'd probably expect Shiraz to stop him.
Being looked after, though, into Shiraz, isn't it? Being looked after, getting these fighters at the right time.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I watched him against, was it Bradley Skeet?
Yeah, he got beat in that first time.
Yeah, 100%.
He should have.
Yeah. And when I saw that fight, I actually, watched a few Hamza Shiraz fights. Thought, he's going to be decent. I watched him against an aging Bradley Skeet, and I was shocked how bad he was.
He old-manned him, didn't he? Let's be honest.
Old-manned him. Yeah, 100%. And like you say, he is being protected, but this is his toughest test to date. But it's the perfect time to get Liam Williams. So I would expect Hamza Shiraz to stop him because of where Liam Williams is at in his career.
Yeah. What about you, Akan? Your thoughts?
On Liam Williams.
Yeah, versus Hamza Shiraz.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure about of Liam Williams at the moment. I didn't watch his last fights. I don't think I saw his last two fights. So, but Hamza Shiraz, I was very impressed with in his last few fights. So maybe I go with Hamza Shiraz to win, like Darren.
Just before I come to you, Dad, I'm just going to pick a few comments up. So Boxing TV says, I think it's all about what Williams turns up. And he goes on to say, I know from first-hand experience that Williams is a effing machine in sparring. He is a monster of a fighter at the right stage. But is this the right stage? Dad's coming to you. What are your thoughts on this fight?
I think it's perfect timing for Shiraz. I rate Hamza Shiraz, to be fair. I'm not going to judge him on the Skeet fight. I like him. I think he moved trainers at the wrong time when there was no need for him to move trainers. He won, I think, the WBO European and looked really good in every fight under his trainer Eddie Kelly. But then he moved from circumstances that I'd heard, and there were no need for him to have moved, but things happen, and then I don't think that was great timing. But he's a big middleweight, big middleweight, powerful, skillful. I like the kid, mate. I really do. So couple that with Williams, being on the slide, I think it's fair to say. I think Shiraz is going to stop him.
Fair enough. Jack?
You'll all disagree with me because he fought Andre after, but the two Liam Smith fights took a lot out of Liam Williams. I think they took a lot out of him. And do you know what? I know it's at 160, so it's a little bit different, but I kind of worry about Liam Williams' chin at this point. He's been in some hard fights. But, I mean, if Liam Williams can roll back the clock, this is going to be a really competitive fight. But I do fancy Shiraz to win because I think like everyone's been saying, I think Liam's on the slide, and I actually think his chin might be starting to be a bit of a problem for him. Because you look at him in the sort of the Andre fight, he's just he didn't look stable at any point, really.
Right.
He looked worse in the Eubank fight.
Yeah, he got dropped
he
with
looked
the jab.
even worse then, and I actually completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
he looked even less stable.
He was dropped with a jab in the Eubank fight.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what happened there. I don't think he made weight very well. He couldn't have. When have you ever seen Liam Williams get dropped by a jab?
I heard a rumor.
It hasn't happened.
Weight badly.
It hasn't happened in his career.
You know what? I think I'll be honest. I think he's a bit fragile mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's a bit fragile mentally. I think he's a very emotional kid. I think, and that can play, a bit of a part. But I do think he's a bit fragile mentally. A very good fighter, but I do think he's a bit fragile.
He was definitely more emotionally attached to the Eubank fight than he has been for any other. I think does.
Yeah.
But Eubank does that to people, don't he?
Eubank gets in people's heads.
Yeah, but I think he's just a bit mentally fragile anyway. And that comment that we picked up, like saying, if I lose this fight, that's probably it for me. Not very good, fighter. In that sort of comment, it doesn't fill with confidence. To be fair,
Hamza Shiraz for me is massive at the weight, and I think I agree with you, Daz. It's perfect timing. I think Liam Williams is. I don't mean any disrespect by this because he's had a really good career, but I think he's probably seen his better days gone. This might be his last shot at a really good name, to be honest. Depending on how the fight goes, I expect Shiraz to stop him.
Right, so just a comment on the side. Boxing TV says, I heard that he got hurt in sparring prior. He's absolutely not fragile mentally. When that nerve pinches behind your ear, it takes a while to recover.
Yeah, can I just respond to that? Yeah. I'm not doubting his art. I'm not saying he's got no art. I'm not saying he's a quitter or anything like that. By mentally fragile, I mean he gets emotional, gets very emotional, and that probably hinders his performance. In some fights. Like I say, this is a good fighter. I think it's hard to say this without it being interpreted as though he's a quitter. But I don't think he's a quitter by any stretch. But I think he's a very, very good on top fighter.
I know what you mean. If you give him the advantage, he'll absolutely
I think
ruin you.
An on top fighter. Yeah, he's very, very, very good.
Dominant.
Exactly. And he's quite ruthless. But I think sometimes if it gets a bit tough or something,
if you break his heart, you break him down.
Yeah, I don't think it's breaking his heart. I don't doubt Liam's heart. I think.
I don't doubt his heart, but it's like
I think
I don't know how to explain it.
It's a weird one, Jack.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. It's something that probably. Listen, it could be anything. It could be one of them natural people who just thinks the worst of the situation. I don't know. I don't know him, but I just think that his mental strength doesn't belie his talent, his physical talent.
I had heard that he made weight.
Jack, let me put his comment up. So, Sport Design Boxing Podcast, good evening. Hamza Shiraz is extremely powerful at this weight. I reckon he takes Williams out early rounds. So,
he is big for the weight, for certain.
Yeah, he can't stay at middleweight. Come on. I think he moves up.
He'll end up at super middle, probably. But
so I'm going to move on.
I think the stoppage will be within the first 6 rounds as well. I think because of where Williams is at, I think he'll stop him within 6 rounds, Hamza Shiraz.
I can see it. Just a final comment. I can see it being quite one-sided. I think he can do what he wants in this fight, if I'm honest with you. So I think.
Carl, just one more fight on this card, mate, before you do move on. Caroline Dubois defending the IBO World Lightweight title against Miranda Reyes. Interesting fight, this, because obviously she's lined up for the IBF, mandatory for that vacant belt. I'm surprised that this fight is happening. I'll be honest.
Can I just ask a question on that? Because there's actually something in the IBF, and I know it's in the men's, and Daz might know because he might have looked, but I haven't looked at it because I've never had a situation where any of them were near enough that I had to. But if you're in the men's IBF and you've got a world title and you're called as like the mandatory, you can't fight another fight. Otherwise, you get stripped of your mandatory. So, and she has been called, so
maybe this was already lined up though, Jack.
Yeah, but I don't know if they would. I don't know how that works because
she wouldn't want to lose a manager position in IBF for an IBO fight, surely.
That's what I'm thinking.
I would have thought so.
Surely there must be. I don't know if Boxer can apply for an exemption for that. Probably, but I have no idea.
I mean, this is no pushover fight either, guys. Miranda Reyes in the last two fights has beat two previous world champions. This girl's no bum.
God, it'll be nice to see him in with a competitive opponent. Let's have it right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Carl. Don't get me wrong. Caroline Dubois will demolish this girl like she's done with everybody else because she's that good.
She might get a few questions asked, though.
Oh, yeah, no, certainly. Yeah, definitely. And she needs it, to be honest. But what I'm saying to you is she's not going to have it all her own way, but she will be dominant in the fight. I have no doubt about that. She's just too good, Caroline Dubois.
Lads, can you just check that in edit when you edit this, just in case, because there was actually a fight. Someone mentioned a fight accidentally. I answered it not thinking about it.
We didn't hear nothing, Jack.
Oh, that's fine. That's what I was checking because I didn't know if you could hear it or not.
No, we didn't hear nothing. So I'm going to move on.
It was me telling them they couldn't have a fight, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'm going to move on to the next topic, guys. I'm keen to keep this show flowing. So I'm going to move on to Conor Benn versus Peter Dobson in Vegas. I think I know the reason why, but obviously this is happening. I think it's 2:30 in the afternoon in Vegas to fall in line with UK viewing time.
Because nobody in America is remotely interested.
I didn't say that because I'm playing nicely tonight, so I didn't say that.
No, but I was asking a question. I wasn't implying that was the reason.
Okay, no, you weren't, Jack. You was making a statement.
You weren't making a statement. I've conviction, Jack.
No, because I quite fancy the matchroom job somewhere down the line. So actually, I don't know if I do or not. I can't. The money would have to be right, but yeah.
So I don't know. Andy's a massive fan. Talking about projections in the past and all this lot.
Oh my life! When are you going to get over that?
I'm going to come to him first. So Andy, give us a breakdown of the fight and where does Conor Benn go from here?
Well, if you believe Terence Crawford.
Honestly, where does Conor Benn go from here? Saudi Arabia?
Not the UK. Let's put it that way.
Apparently, according to Eddie Hearn, the hearing results are within the next couple of weeks with the boxing board. The likelihood is Conor Benn's going to get cleared, and his next fight will be in England. Yeah. You've heard it from me first. Regards this fight, the thing is they've got to keep him active if they can, Carl. What are they going to do? Whether I agree with it or not, it doesn't really matter what my opinion is. The fact of the matter is, they're not going to have him sat on his hands because that's no good to anybody. This is a. I don't want to say it's a walkover because it's not. This kid's not lost. But looking at his record,
he's not a kid. He's 30 odd.
Well, look, okay. We're looking at his record. It flatters to deceive a little bit. Conor Benn does what he wants in this fight, in my opinion. We're not going to see anything new. We're not going to learn anything. You're going to get the same Conor Benn that you've had in the last previous 4 or 5 fights. He'll be very aggressive. They're holding out. They're holding out for a Eubank fight, which probably won't happen. I'm actually of the opinion now that Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't even want it anymore.
I'm not sure he's bothered.
Chris Eubank Jr.'s got his eyes on other things, I think.
I think he has as well, mate.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much, it's going at media. I think it's going to be Eubank Jr. v. Kelbrook.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, which I really don't want to see, by the way.
Normally.
Well,
and I'm a massive Kell Brook fan, but I just don't want to see Kell Brook come out of retirement.
Well, let's wait and see what happens.
So I'm just going to...
That implies you know something there.
Darren, I'm going to... Darren,
it's all about media.
Darren,
no, I know that, but it was just the way you said it.
Whoa, Jack, whoa. Darren, I'm going to come to you next, because you had a comment in the side from someone saying you could have brushed your ear. I don't know whether you know who that is.
What's wrong with my hair?
I'm assuming they're having a go at you because Daz is under Daz. And
I've brushed my hair.
So maybe we want to get a makeup room for you for next show.
Yeah, I'll gladly have that done, yeah.
Give me your views, fella.
I'll be completely brutally honest here. I've got very little interest in the fight because I agree with Andy. His UK status needs sorting. I mean, for the last God knows how many months, we was all told about Chris Eubank Jr. For all the controversy with that fight and what fight fans thought about the drug taking and all this, let's be honest, we'd have all paid to watch that fight because of what it is with the profiles. But we end up with Dobson in America, which is 2:30 in their afternoon and about 10:30 here, and everyone's going to be watching the Buatsi Azeez card anyway, so it's going to be like a catch-up job for people. Conor Benn will do his routine job of what he does, and then hopefully he can get his UK status sorted.
Well, Eddie Hearn reckons that the boxer will put Azeez fight earlier in the evening to accommodate the Conor Benn fight. What about that?
I'm sure they will. But the thing is, right, Conor Benn now, he needs to be fighting in the UK. And you know what? Say if he gets, like Andy said, hopefully he gets sorted. If he gets sorted, I would happily, for where he's at the moment, see the Harlem Eubank fight. I'd see that. I don't think it's a bad fight because, let's be honest, Conor Benn isn't at the level yet where he thinks he's at. And a Harlem Eubank fight, for me, would make perfect sense. It's still a Eubank. And I think that's the fight the route they need to go down.
Yeah. Because
he's not going to get the Chris Eubank Jr. fight now.
No, so just before I come to Akam, I'm just going to pick some comments up. So, Raimondo, good evening, Raimondo. Eubank Jr. will take the fight for the money when he's cleared. And then we've got, just 1 minute, Jamie Boxing Chat. I've no real interest in this fight, but Ben will win and pretty easily. In fact, it's at 2:30 p.m. USA time. It shows that nobody cares about this fight. He needs to clear his name and fight Eubank Jr.
So, Cole, can I just reply to Raimondo?
Of course you can.
Eddie Hearn has made it very clear in recent interviews that he believes Eubank Jr. is an absolute nightmare to work with. He says you can't deal with him, you can't negotiate with him. He's making all the noise, Cole, that fight never happens against Conor Benn.
Could be a smoke screen, though, Andy, couldn't it? Could be a clever smoke screen.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Daz, though. I think Eubank Jr., because of all the controversy surrounding it, I think he's actually staying away from it.
I think that happens.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that.
I think once his name's cleared in the UK, Andy, I think there's too much dough in that fight for it not to happen. So that's my prediction.
I definitely think the promotion teams will still keep harping on about that fight and trying to do it once he's sorted in the UK. But let's be honest, like I've said already, Conor Benn isn't at the level where he thinks he's at. So you have got to be realistic, really.
Listen,
but I agree.
I say give Conor Benn what he wants. Give him Jerron Ennis.
Get destroyed.
Oh wow!
So Daz, let me just bring Akan in, fellas. So Akan, what are your thoughts on Conor Benn's fight on Saturday?
As you know, I'm in, at the Wembley for the Buatsi Azeez fight.
Yeah.
But even though if I had been at home, I wouldn't choose the Ben Dobson fight on Saturday to watch. From Ben Eubank Jr. in the UK, that was talking about for 6 months nearly, to Dobson in. I'm not fancy that fight at all, and I think Conor Benn will win very easily, early KO.
Yeah, and then Daz, I will come back to you. I'm going to ask you a straight question here. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. Do you think it's an insult to British boxing that Conor Benn keeps fighting without clearing his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't like it, mate. To be fair, it's not good. The fact that he's now sort of saying things like he regrets his actions during the, when it come out and stuff like that.
He's saying that, mate, because he's going into a meeting with the British Boxing Board and he wants the right result.
He never thought the British Boxing Board of Control would show the teeth like they have.
No.
But guys, let's have a little bit of perspective here. The British Boxing Board haven't covered themselves in glory over this whole situation.
Is what?
Sorry. No, but what I would say,
the British Boxing Board haven't covered themselves with glory, Daz.
He could have backed down there, Andy, couldn't they? They could have easily backed down when he was in the lawsuit.
They could.
To it.
I get that, right? But how long is it taking him to take that stand?
Yeah.
This has been going on how long now?
Yeah. Thing is, though,
over a year.
Thing is, though, that's the point. What Carl's just made, that Conor's still fighting. Even though it's abroad, that's not really the board's fault. That's
I get that, Daz, but everyone else has cleared him. He's cleared to fight everywhere else.
Yeah, I'm not going to get back to the board, but they were waiting for that dossier for ages, Andy, as well. He had this dossier, didn't he? He had evidence of 5,000 pages or whatever. So I'm not saying it was perfect by any stretch, but I do think they've got to the right thing here, where they're dragging him in. They've told him he's got to come in for an hearing, or he won't fight in the UK. So I think, in a roundabout way, we kind of got where we need to be.
Yeah, listen, he don't do his sons no favours. To be fair, either. Some of the stuff he says, he's a little bit. Come on. Surely you've got a PR guy who should be saying to you, you need to show up.
Yeah, I agree.
Show up. Do you know what I mean? He keeps calling for these top level fighters. Give him.
Yeah, just a comment in the side. So Jam's boxing chat says, apparently Ben wants a Terence Bud Crawford fight. What a joke! Bud would smoke him real quick.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
And he goes on to say, it should be sorted one way or another by now. He's just skirting the issue by fighting abroad.
I agree. Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, I'm quite interested to actually see, being in America, and obviously Conor Benn headlining. What is the crowd going to be at this event?
Is he headlining as well, Darren? Is he headlining?
Yeah. So what is the crowd going to be? You've got Johnny Fisher and that on there.
The only top American on the card is Amo Williams.
Johnny Fisher is apparently taking 200 people over there.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah. But what crowd are they going to get in America for this fight? What's the arena like?
It's going to be.
Go on, sorry.
It's going to be tiny, mate. Isn't it?
Well, Saturday afternoon in America, there's a reason why other promoters don't go at that time, because you've got a hell of a lot of sport in America happening in and around that time. So, yeah.
Carl, let's have it right, mate. This is not a fight that they're trying to attract American viewers. That's why they put it on at the time suitable for the UK. This card's only going ahead to get Conor Benn out. You can't get him out in the UK, so they're putting him out in America, but they're putting him out in America at a time that suits British fans. So he's still keeping his popularity in the UK that way.
Sorry, lads.
Well, I'm not sure about popularity. I think his PR. I don't think he's popular in the UK at all, to be honest with you.
I don't think he is, but the one thing I would say is when you get controversial characters like Conor Benn, everyone's still speaking about him.
And also,
controversy sells.
And they'll still watch him as well.
Does he sell, Jack?
Of course he does.
It does, because people watch him wanting him to get knocked out. That's the thing. People still watch it because they want him to get knocked out. It's stupid, but yeah, it does.
Yeah, I don't quite agree with that. Jack, I don't quite agree with that. I don't think he's a villain. I don't think he's a hated fighter. People just don't like the situation and how it's panned out. I don't think he's a villain of the piece like a Eubank Jr. was. He's got a lot of popularity, Carl. I don't think, maybe not with boxing people. Maybe not with, yeah, there is, but that's around media and boxing people that know boxing. If you talk about general boxing fans, they'll still watch and follow Conor Benn like nothing's happened.
He don't endear himself snarling at the camera and all that lot. I don't think his popularity is anywhere near where you think it is. I honestly don't.
Yeah, I think once he's got his license back in the UK, you're going to see a different picture.
Well, we'll see. So a couple of comments.
He's got to be careful in that hotel with them American eggs for breakfast. Anyway,
no more West Midlands jokes, Darren.
Allegedly.
I'm just going to pick these comments up in the side. So Jan Boxing, it should be sorted one way or another. Done that one. I don't think there'll be much of a crowd, to be honest. Maybe 2,000 tops. Boxing TV says, how has Ben gone from being a boxer, from being boxing, and he's missed the last bit out. So just finish that off for me, Boxing TV. So anything else on Conor Benn before we move on to the last topic?
Where is it, by the way, in Vegas?
Not sure, mate.
It's not a big arena, let's put it that way.
I think it might be in some kind of hotel.
Someone said about it being in like
I checked it.
The hotels only.
I checked that the theater holds 1,900.
Right.
So it won't be 2,000 there then.
I've heard that he's got to hurry up and get fight over it because there's an Elvis impersonator booked at a wedding after.
Oh, God, that's not much better than the West Midlands after that one. Jesus, I think the Darren's need to up the game with the jokes. Anything else on Conor Benn before we move on?
No.
I'll take that as a no. So last topic.
Have you got any good omelette recipes?
Last Jack, Jesus. I'm glad this is boxing and not comedy because we were chucked off YouTube. Yeah. So, talking about Fury versus Usyk, it's been announced today that it's going to be on Sky, on TNT, and on DAZN all pay-per-view, showing that the platforms can work together when needed.
They're sitting on the fence as much as Andy.
Who?
These TV networks, they're all showing it. They're all sitting on the fence like Andy. It's great.
Well, you know,
Jack, do me and you need to have a word?
Yeah, I think
Are we not going to take this outside, mate?
Sorry, you left that open to me.
So the question being, which broadcaster do you think has got the best team around commentary? So I'll come to Darren. You like that one, don't you, Darren? A little nod there, appreciation from Darren.
I didn't think he was going to cover about the punditry team. I quite like the that everyone's got a choice of what they want to watch it on. I saw tonight that the DAZN is $23.99. I don't think Sky or TNT's announced their prices yet.
They'll all go for exactly the same price, mate.
I wondered if the Zone might be a couple of quid cheaper being a stream. I don't know. Like, you think it'll go all the same?
They'll all go the same. They'll be told they've got to.
Okay.
The Zone will probably throw in a free month or something.
Could do.
Possibly.
That's what they did with the last one.
Yeah. Well, as regards me personally, I would probably go Sky or TNT. I mean, I watched the Day of Reckoning on the Zone, and it was a bit of a shambles at times with the glitches and, the service being interrupted and that.
Try paying your bills then, Darren. Pay your internet bill. It might help.
I was actually away in a log cabin, and the Wi-Fi was the best Wi-Fi I've ever had, but it was still cocking up. I think TNT's got a good team. I like Carl Frampton.
Yeah.
So I might go with TNT this time. I'm not sure who do you think Sky will have?
Andy Clark.
Yeah,
Andy Clark. For me, Andy Clark is the best commentator in boxing right now.
Yeah, he's really good. I do like him. Yeah.
And they might have Paul Smith because they have Paul Smith on Sky a little bit now as well, don't they? They'll also probably have Tasha Jonas. They tend to use Tasha quite a lot. She's very educated and she breaks things down, which I really like on Sky. It's dead good. Andy Clark is always straight down the line as well, which you don't often get on some of the other platforms. They're quite biased. I won't be watching it. I tell you what, I won't be watching it on. I won't be watching it on TNT because that will be really, really, really one-sided on the commentary.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know if you'll be on it, but the worst one on TNT is Dempsey. He's useless. Is it? I don't know whether it's Dempsey. Paul Dempsey. Oh,
Yeah.
He's useless. Well, in my eyes, he's useless anyway.
So, Akan, let's get someone from off these shores perspective. Obviously, you're in the UK a lot. So, out of these three broadcasters, who do you think is the best?
To be fair, I haven't watched so much TNT commentary, but Sky I watch a lot in the UK, and but not so much after Adam Smith left Sky. I think Adam Smith was
Yeah.
He was fantastic.
By far my favorite presenter and commentator in the UK. And as you know, DAZN is in Sweden. I can't see Sky or TNT in Sweden. So I have just one option here, and it's DAZN then. But when I have been in the UK, I have been mostly at shows. I haven't watched Sky or TNT that much. So
and Hakan, tell the guys how much it works out to for us. It'd be £15 the equivalent for us in Sweden, wouldn't it, to watch that fight?
Yeah, with the exchange rate in Sweden to the pound, the Swedish krona is so weak. That's what the reason why the price is around 50 pounds.
Brilliant.
But in Scandinavia, there aren't so many DAZN subscriptions, so they have a lesser price for the pay-per-view. That's so. I'm, as a big fan of the sport, is very lucky to have that price.
Yeah.
But
really
I think it's
you need that price, don't you, Akan, with all the air miles that you put in, all the flights.
Yeah. So, but I think that DAZN, the Europe outside the UK, I think the DAZN pay-per-view is the same around the whole Central Europe.
Yeah.
like it is in Sweden. DAZN doesn't have so many subscribers in Sweden, Denmark, Norway, or even Germany, like they have in the UK.
Yeah,
I thought they were quite big in Germany because that was their first market they launched in.
Yeah, it was, but they have other sports, so yeah, I can agree of that.
Football,
I think they have the Bundesliga in Germany.
Yeah, they have the football in Germany, don't
I'm
they?
just going to pick some comments up.
Maybe Germany wasn't the best, but the other European countries are.
Yeah, thank you, Akan. Some comments in the side then. So, Jams Boxing says, if I booked on DAZN for $23.99, you get a month subscription included, which is worth $11.99. In itself, they could be the way to go if new to DAZN. Boxing TV says, Usyk is an absolute animal. I was lucky enough to have the last interview with Fury before Fury Wilder 2. The more that it goes on, the more I can see that Fury's games aren't working. Jams Boxing chat. Adam Smith is a boss. The poor guy had cancer, but he's back now. DAZN messed up the day of reckoning with no volume for the first 4 rounds of AJ Wallen. I think that might have been like that across all platforms, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. It was.
No,
okay.
I had it on TNT and it was fine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got told TNT was okay.
Right,
TNT was all right as long as you had it in HD.
I've heard it was just DAZN on the day of reckoning.
Day of reckoning. No, TNT had an issue if it was on normal, but if you had it on HD, it was fine.
Right, okay. Boxing TV says Usyk has a lot to fight for. Fury's comments about Steve Cunningham outboxing is laughable compared to the skills of Usyk. Usyk is used to handling bigger men. Raimondo says Anna Woolhouse at Sky is usually very good. Like Carl Froch on commentary too. Jams Boxing chat says Akan is the boxing encyclopedia. World traveller for the sweet science. So you obviously got a fan there, Akan.
Well, we have to agree with that. The amount Akan comes to the UK, the amount of money he spends on fights in the UK, it's brilliant.
Yeah, Akan's propping our economy up. You don't know it, number 10, but he's propping our economy up.
I mean, Akan's paying my wages. Let's be brutally honest.
You'll be being knighted soon.
There's always one who goes too far in the chat. I must start mooting you. So 2 people left to ask. So Dad's coming to you. What platform do you prefer out of the 3 of them?
I'm not really fussed, to be fair, because I tend to watch them without no commentary.
Yeah, you've said that before, actually, haven't you?
Yeah, I tend to turn commentary off.
My question, Dad, really, no? So thank you.
No. Listen, I tell you, I like on commentary, but I don't think he's going to be a commentator for it. He's Andy Lee.
Yeah,
I like Andy Lee as a commentator.
Yeah, I'm not. Daz, I'm not convinced. Andy Lee's very good technically. He breaks things down, but
see, that's what
it can be quite biased at times.
Yeah,
I like Andy Lee a lot.
He's Tyson's cousin, isn't he? So I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be commenting on it.
Yeah.
So listen, Sonny Edwards is a decent commentator.
Good chat.
I'd like that.
Yeah, I don't mind listening to Sonny Edwards. I mean, if I owned a channel, listen, I mean, you might not agree with me, probably not going to, but the guy I could listen to breaking fights down and commentating on fights all day long is Teddy Atlas.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree. I do agree with you.
The man's the best.
Yeah,
that's why my dog's called Teddy. To be fair,
and he doesn't.
Do you know the other guy that always is absolutely fantastic? He doesn't get used enough, and that's Paulie Malignaggi.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another one who's decent as well.
He's too outspoken, Andy. That's why. That's
he is. Yeah.
There's another one I like.
Sergio Moore is decent as well.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
But for me, Teddy Atlas is the best.
I liked, and they used to use him on TNT when it was BT back in the day, but they don't now, and I know exactly why, and I'm not going to say why because I've spoken to him about it. I used to like it when they had Enzo Macronelli on them because I thought he was just brutally honest, and he made a comment in one fight, and now they don't use him now.
Mate, you'll not get anyone more brutally honest
And Teddy Atlas.
than Teddy
Oh no,
Atlas.
Atlas is
Yeah, he's class.
absolutely straight down
Teddy
the line.
Atlas. Look at some. I mean, just go on YouTube and look at put Teddy Atlas reactions to.
I watch his podcast does with that guy who used to be an MMA fighter. He's absolutely top draw, isn't it?
Mate, Teddy Atlas is amazing.
I like Teddy Atlas.
There's no bias. I think his own brother could be fighting, and he'd call it how it is.
Yeah.
He'll call it straight down the middle. Like
he's the best commentator. You know, he's been the best commentator in the world for a long time for me.
If DAZN,
very, very good.
If DAZN were clever, biggest fight that they'll have for years, they'd put him on it, or because neither of the other two are going to be able to get him because of
they don't want people who have an opinion.
No,
they want yes men.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That would possibly sway me to actually buy it though on theirs, as opposed to have someone like that.
Listen, you know that they're not going to tell Teddy Atlas what to say.
No.
Yeah,
that's right.
Teddy Atlas is.
So I'm just going to put these comments up in the sides. Raimondo says, guys, saw an article on Opatea, possibly moving up to heavyweight. Can you see that happening soon? Such an exciting fight. We'll hold thought on that. We'll pick that up next week, guys. Okay, so that Raimondo, we'll do it. We'll do a segment on that next week.
Give me a week to think about that.
That's why I said next week.
Yeah.
That's time. Jam's boxing chat says, Sir Akan Johansson has a ring to it. Andy Lee is a fantastic as a trainer, but as a commentator, it's Carl Frost, Jamel Herring, and Sonny Edwards for me. Hold on before we jump in, because there's more. Boxing TV says, I travel all over the world commentating freelance. Bit of a plug there, I think. Jam Boxing says, what do you lads think of Shannon the Cannon Briggs versus Rampage Jackson? Hit or miss? Let's on that one. Pause on that one because I want to end. So I've got Andy, your last one to close the show off. Give us your thoughts about the platforms, and then we'll call the show to an end.
Sorry, what do you want me to? What do you want me to answer on?
Who's your favourite platform? I've been to everybody else. I know you had a little talk about it, but give us your views on what platform you were watching the fight on, and who's your favourite platform out of the three mentioned.
So, I don't have a favourite platform because I think no matter how much they try not to be, they're always slightly biased towards their own fighters. It is what it is because of what you've already spoken about. They won't have commentators on there that are completely down the line that call it brutally because their own fighters don't like it. What I will say though is, and I'll say what I said earlier on, that Andy Clark, in my opinion, is the best commentator. And then you get a mix. What I like about Sky is you get a mixture of who's going to be with him. I like the fact that they have Natasha Jonas on there. It brings a different aspect. I'd go with Sky just for that. I think just for Andy Clark, I think he's the best that's out there at the minute.
Yeah.
Do you think so many days before the broadcast or whatever, like the channels will announce who their team's going to be, so they can try and?
I doubt it.
Will? No. Whereas they should really.
Surprise me.
Well, when they've got the competition they have, I think they should do that really because it will entice certain people to where they go.
Yeah, but also it might turn people off. If you got a poor commentary lineup, why would you announce it? Before people are subscribed, it could work.
But they're obviously going to trust in who they're putting on there, aren't they? Thinking they're excellent. So
interesting. So Jack, I know Andy was last, but we've not come to you from a matchmaking perspective and an insider in the industry. Who's your favorite? And you're not going to sit on the fence because because you're frightened of not getting a job. Who's your favorite broadcaster, and who will you be watching the Fury fight with?
Right. Well, they're two different things. I like DAZN because I like but I do. But I'll probably watch this on TNT just because they didn't let me down with the Saudi feed last time. And do you know what? If someone hasn't let me down, I'll go back to them.
Good point.
Yep. And then, so as a rule, then let's Fury fight aside. and taking commentary teams into perspective, who's your favourite platform?
See, I like the variety of Sky, but I just because I really I enjoy taking the fights out of it, right? Taking the actual fight. So if you put the same fight on all three, I'd probably go TNT because I don't think they've got the strongest stable of the three, but in terms of just commentary teams, probably that.
Okay. Well, that's a great place to end the show. So if you watch this on replay, post your comments below. Thank you for all the comments in the side. Really active in the sidebar. Brilliant comments. Please join us again next week and maybe jump on camera. Thank you very much. Enjoy the fight at the weekend. I hope you get good UK hospitality as normal.
Thank you.
Darren, I'll get the phrase book ready, fella, for when we meet up in Sheffield if you're there. I'll be fluent by the time I get there in West Midlands. Daz, thank you very much. Much appreciated for your contribution. Jack, thank you very much for your contribution, fella. Have a good week. And Andy, thanks for joining eventually. You know, we got there in the end. This has been Last Bell Boxing, proudly sponsored by LW Lifting Limited and SC Travel Limited. We'll see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. See you then.